Today, I am introducing a new trajectory-guided video generation technique called Wan Move. The biggest characteristic of this model is its wide range of functions. Firstly, it supports the movement of a single object. Furthermore, within the single object movement, we support movements across a very large scale, and it is better able to follow the laws of physics. At the same time, it also supports the movement of multiple objects. When there are multiple objects in your frame, you can draw the motion trajectory for each individual object, guiding its manner and direction of movement. Additionally, it supports action transfer, 3D object rendering, and even camera animation. Therefore, overall, the functionality of this model is very powerful. Using trajectories to guide animation generation is not considered a new technique. Previously, ByteDance released a technology called ATI, which also guided video generation by drawing trajectories. We once used the ATI technology to generate some very dreamy videos. In those videos, we kept the subject still while the surrounding environment moved, which also looked very dreamlike. However, similar technologies we discussed before had two major drawbacks. The first was that it wasn't easy to draw the trajectory, and the second was the lack of precise control capability. However, all of these drawbacks have been significantly improved in this new model. Take a look at this video. It can precisely control certain actions in the frame, and even camera transitions. Moreover, it can precisely control the changes in characters within the frame, even if the trajectory is extremely complex. What you are seeing now is the Wan Move page on GitHub. From this page, we can see some useful information. For example, Kijai's One Video extension already supports this model. You can open Kijai's One Video extension and then click on the example workflow. You will find a Wan Move workflow. Regarding model downloads, Kijai still provides two versions. One is the FP16 version and the other is the FP8 version. You can choose a different version based on your computational power. I will use the FP8 version for this demonstration. You simply need to update the Kijai One Video extension to the latest version, and then drag this example workflow into your ComfyUI, and you are ready to go. Similarly, I have built this workflow onto Running Hub. You can access this platform via Running Hub. In the ComfyUI domain, Running Hub is an excellent online workspace because it keeps up immediately whenever a new model or extension appears. You can register for Running Hub using the invitation link in my video description. By doing so, you will receive 1,000 free points. Furthermore, you also get a bonus of 100 points just by logging into Running Hub daily, allowing you to try out your own workflows. First, you need to be clear that although the model claims to offer many capabilities, the content we can reproduce within ComfyUI is still limited. We will select a few representative examples to explain to you. For the first example, let's look at controlling a single object using a trajectory to generate a video of relatively good quality. This workflow is my reconstructed version, but its basic structure is the same as Kijai's original. Now, let's look at the model loading. For the main model, we are using the FP8 model we just mentioned. I have enabled Sage Attention here. If you haven't installed Sage Attention, you can select SDPA. We also have a light X to V acceleration model here, and block swapping is enabled. I set the number of swapping blocks to 25. Then we have our encoder and VAE below that. We have a reference image. We first need to resize this reference image. The resized image is first passed through a node called the spline editor. This editor is used to draw the trajectory. If you hover your mouse over this node, you can see information including how to add splines and how to add nodes. Let me briefly explain. We can generate a new canvas using New Canvas. Then, you can right-click and select Background Image to upload an image you like to use as the background image. Also, note that this node cannot be zoomed. It cannot be dragged larger or smaller. You can only control its actual width and height using the width and height parameters here. Currently, mine is set to 480 by 382 here. So first, we can create a new canvas. After creating the canvas, we can change the background image. Note that after you change it, it will first display the image at its original size, and only after a while will it change to the size you set. Now I will switch it back. We wait a moment and it returns to the original size. Of course, you can choose not to change the background image manually. Since my current image size is not 916, it is distorted. In this case, you can connect the resized image to the BG image input here, which is the background image. To do this, you need to run the workflow once to get the desired background image. Let's run it now so you can see the image has now been replaced. The downside of this method is that you must run it once first to get the image. The best way is if you have a standard 916 image, you can use that image as a reference image here and use it as the background. This way, you don't need to run it in advance. Next, let's look at drawing the spline. After you create a new canvas, you will have a standard spline. It looks like this. For example, we can adjust the starting position here, and you can create a trajectory. Next, let's look at the basic operations of the nodes. Firstly, there are two ways to add a node. The first way is to hold down the Control key and use the left mouse button to add the node. Note that this adds a node in the middle of the spline. You can also hold the Shift key to add a node. This adds a new node on either side of the spline. If you want to delete a node, just select it and press the right mouse button to delete it. Now let's quickly draw a spline. Once drawn, we will get a string representing the trajectory, which we will use later. Next is our reference image. As we mentioned, after resizing it, we first use the visual encoder to encode it once. We connect the encoding result to the clip embed input of the Wan video image to video encode node. Similarly, the image itself is connected to the start image input. After passing through this node, we get an image embedding vector. You can consider this vector a latent. The most crucial node here is the one you see now. Its function is to inject our trajectory information into our latent. After processing, we get a new image embedding vector. Then we can proceed to sampling. Since the current image embedding vector already contains the trajectory information, we can directly connect it to our image embed. For the prompt, you can write something simple. I wrote something very general here. The output of the prompt is connected to our text embed. Below that is a standard sampler. Note that I set the sampling steps to 4. Let's look at the generated result. The finger slowly moves downwards along our trajectory. Therefore, you can see that this type of control is highly effective. This is the simplest workflow. Next, let's look at the second example. Let's examine the reference image. This reference image shows a hummingbird perched on a beautiful woman's finger. I drew the spline onto the bird's body. I wanted it to fly away from the woman's hand, so I wrote my prompt accordingly. Let's look at the final generated result. First, we cannot deny that the guidance provided by the trajectory is present, and it is very strong. You can see that the bird is indeed moving along our trajectory. However, my prompt did not take effect. It didn't fly away. Instead, it moved while still attached to the woman's hand. This is certainly not what we wanted. This brings us to our second type of video, which is more complex. We will control multiple objects moving simultaneously. Note that I now have 2 splines. Some may ask how to add splines. It is simple. You just right-click and then click Add New Spline. You will then have a new spline. If you don't need it, you can right-click and delete it. Currently, I have only these 2 splines. One is placed on the bird's body and one is placed on the hand, to indicate that the hand and the bird need to separate. One of my trajectories points upward and the other points downward. The prompt remains unchanged. Let's look at the final generated result. You will notice that the bird indeed flew away. However, the way it flew is not very aesthetically pleasing because it didn't flap its wings. Therefore, you find that although this model can precisely control the movement of objects, the inherent movement of the object itself tends to be suppressed. This is one of its major issues. If the object were a simple ball, I think this would be fine. But if it is a bird, the level of detail in the bird's performance is insufficient. Next, let's look at camera control here. We use even more splines. We used about 4 of them. They essentially extend outward from the woman's face in 4 directions. What I intended to convey was that the image is zooming in, meaning the camera is pushing forward. In the prompt, I did not write any information about the camera. I only stated that the woman was doing a runway show. Let's look at the final generated effect. This camera zoom in effect is quite prominent. However, I feel that the character's inherent movement is still lacking. In fact, this drawback is the same as the problem we observed with the bird earlier. Through the examples above, we have tested this model's control over single objects, multiple objects, and camera movements, including the basic usage of the node. I encourage everyone to try it out themselves. Overall, the model's control strength is adequate, and the precision is also sufficient. However, it suppresses the subject's inherent movement within the video. Therefore, we can see that certain issues arise. That is all for today. Follow me to become someone who understands AI.